Yeah, so continuing on, we were holding. I don't know why it stopped. I have no idea. Maybe I missed the whole thing. I don't know. Okay, weiter. So we're holding in the middle of Lamites Amid Aleph, and we're up to the tree. Yeah, we're up to Masav Rav Sheshes. We're up to Masav Rav Sheshes. We'll see what happened later or soon after. So yeah, okay. So that's the thing. That was the Lamdish Shayla that we discussed. What was the Lamdish Shayla we discussed? What's the halacha if you hold mechashim loy rebirchem mechashim avoid la'avoida? Is the vart mechashim avoid la'avoida that it's keilu the first avoida was done by avodas kechavim, or the pshat is mechashim avoid la'avoida, and the second one is done by avoida, right? Yeah, and. There's one more knech that's kedai to point out. Just one more lamdish shmuz that we have to discuss. That Rabbi Yochanan needs a little bit of a hezbollah, because the truth is, even though we hold mechashim and me'avoid la'avoida, right, by pegel itself, yeah, mechashim me'avoid la'avoida, which means that I could be mechashiv during the shechita for the zrika, right? But it's not because the zrika is an avoida; it's because zrika is an achila. Right? It happens to be the Zrika is Achilas HaMizbeach. But not because it has nothing to do with the fact that I could be Mechashe from one Avodah to the other Avodah. By pickle itself. I'm talking about the source itself. So where how do we extend it to Mechashe? Yeah, where does the whole concept come from? Where do we see this whole...
It's such a musi that you can think from one thing to the other thing.
Oh, so the teretz is like, I'm...
It's like a lomdus that we're starting to, they can make...
I hear what you're saying. You hear what you're saying. He's saying that because we find that I can be mechashev from one thing on another, I can be mechashev from doing one action to the other action. So we extend that another step and say me'avoid la'avoida. It's a yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, but that's the point that I have to point out. Okay. So the Gemara right there. Okay, good, cool. So now the Gemara is going to ask a kasha. So and the Hakdama, I'll tell you what it is, and then we'll see it inside. But the bottom line is, again, it's from the words of Rabbi Yossi. That Rabbi Yossi argued with the Tanakama and Rabbi Lezer. And he said that there's no machshavas oived, that there's no such a thing as oived. Yeah, oived. There's no such a thing that the Bible could dictate what the actions of the oived is. And he said it like this. He said by kachim there isn't, and koshke by chulin there isn't. Right? So he said, and why? Because he said that it must, because chulin is less chamor than kachim. Where? Machshava peiselis. That the machshava passes by kachim, but it doesn't pass by chulin. Where is that case where machshava passes by chulin and not by kachim? And that is the shmuz that we're going to discuss. Where's the case that you have a machshava peiselis by chulin and not by kachim? The Gemara is going to try to suggest that place is machashim me'avoid la'avoid. That's what the Gemara is going to say. Master Rav Sheshes, Ayam Rabbi Yossi kavachem ha'advarim. I'll prove to you that what the machashim is sheichid le'aminon. Uma b'makim shemachshava peiselis b'muktoshim eina kol hoylech ela acharaoived. Makaim shemachshava peiselis b'chulin eina dein shloyeh kol hoylech ela acharashoichet. Yeah. So yeah. That Zok the Gemara. My ein. My machshav peiselis b'chulin. My machshav peiselis b'chulin. What are we talking about? Where's this case of machshava that passes by kachim that doesn't work by chulin? My machshava peiselis b'chulin. Ilay midlay pasla klal. You're going to tell me that machshava doesn't pass by chulin at all? Machshava avodas kechavim doesn't pass. Elas vicha avodas kechavim the mitzera hechim mishkachas lo. What do you mean? We have obviously a machshava works by avodas kechavim. Yeah, and Rashi is ma'irich to tell us what's the makar, because the word is there's a pasuk that says the pasuk says zivchei mesim. It says v'yoichlu zivchei mesim, and we have a pasuk and we have a sham me'egla rufa. That just like me'egla rufa is also ba'ana, so to a mes is also ba'ana. So zivchei mesim tells you that what that shechting lavedis kechavim is avada aser is also ba'ana. Yeah, so in other words, so where is this place? So there's an interesting tosis here. It's kedai to just interject over here. One interesting tosis. We know we went through this in Science Vachim and in Menachos. We went through this many times. That we went through machshava b'kachim, right? And a machshava b'kachim, right? We have this machlokes Rashi and tosis many times. Rashi says kol machshava b'kachim any ela moitzu b'peh, which means that machshava doesn't mean think. It doesn't mean thinking. It means intention. It means plan. Right? But it doesn't mean thinking because we're not doing it. You're not just. It's not just going on in your mind. You're expressing it. And if you don't express it, it's nothing. Right? That's how Rashi always goes. But Tosfos is misopik. Right? Tosfos is not sure. Yeah. Rashi is 100%. Kol machshav b'kachim u'moitzu b'pehu, and there's nothing to talk about. Tosfos is misopik. Zog Tosfos, from this sugya l'chura, I have a murdig raya that that machshav, like Rashi, that machshava has to be moitzu b'peh. Because Tosfos like this: if machshava by kachim is even by thinking, right? The pasuk says lo yechashev is thinking. It's only thinking. So we have a kasha. How could it be that there's such a thing as a zivchei mesim if machshava doesn't work? So I'll tell you the eitzah. By kachim, what? By kachim, thinking itself is gonna answer. Mashenke by avidus kechavim. It's only if you might be bad. That'll be the eitzah. Yeah. Yeah. Zog Tosfos is a gewaltige raya to what? Zog Tosfos is a gewaltige raya that would be like Rashi that what? That it's only if you say it, if you express your plan, that's what machshava b'kachim means. But it doesn't mean thinking, because if machshava b'kachim meant thinking, so then I have a murder geitza by kachim. Thinking works, so that's what Rabbi Yossi is saying. Kachim is much more chama because I thought mashenke by zvachim, by mashenke by vizkachavim. It's only if I'm moitzi b'peh. So what's interesting is that Tosfos is not entertaining, and this is important. Tosfos is not entertaining the. Tosfos is not entertaining the tzad that avodas kachavim and pickle have to work hand in hand, right? Because again, just like you have the same rule that chutz miklim le'afinon. In other words, Tosfos is clear that even if you'll say that by kachim, it's taka machshava by avodas kachavim. By avodas kachavim is if you might do it, right? And memela, and it's not the pshat that the Gemara assumed pashit that if by pickle it works by just going on in your mind, then by avodas kachavim as well it goes on in your mind. No. It could go one is Azay and one is Azay. Okay. So let's go. Elo pshita must be that when Rabbi Yossi was comparing machshavas avodas kachavim to machshavas pnim, it must be that we said that pnim, something machshava works by chutz, it doesn't work. What do we mean? Ma'avoda la'avoda. V'chi kaman u'ma b'makom shemachshava peiselos b'muktashim where me'avoda la'avoda ena kol lecha oived makom she'em machshava peiselos b'chulin me'avoda la'avoda ela ba'oisa avoda. Right? So in other words, what we're saying is very clear that me'avoda la'avoda only works inside in the Beis Hamikdash, but it does not work outside by Chulin. By Chulin, you have to have machshava during that avoda itself. Yeah? So it comes out, so Rabbi Yossi weighed in to our shmuz. He said that a machshava poiseles does work by me'avoda la'avoda in pnim, and it does not work by chutz. Now, so presumably, it would only be a problem for Rish Lakish, right? it's only going to be a problem for Rish Lakish because it's only going to be a problem for Rabbi Yochanan. Presumably, it will only be a problem for Rabbi Yochanan. Why? Because Rabbi Yochanan holds that the Machash Avodah Avodah works everywhere, and Rabbi Yossi is saying that it doesn't work by Avodas Kachavim, right? And that's going to be the Gemara's kasha. But the Gemara is going to ask another kasha also on Rish Lakish. Why? Because when the Gemara says by Pnim it works me'avodah la'avodah, right? The Gemara doesn't say just that a machshava works. It says the lashon of machshava poiseles, not mefageles. It's poiseles. Poiseles is shlei lishma. It's not by a lashon of mefagel. So memela, from the fact that we said that a machshava is that Rabbi Yossi used the language that a machshava is going to passel bifnim. It is going to passel bifnim, and we saying that we mean machshava, we mean a machshava me'avoid la'avoida. So is a kasha on Rish Lakish that Rish Lakish says it only works by pickle and not by shlei lishma. Yeah, that's going to be the Gemara's kasha. So the Gemara kasha Reb Shimon Lakish chutz. I'm sorry, forget. Oh, Pnem kasha Reb Shimon Lakish, right? Forget. So Pnem is kasha Reb Shimon Lakish. Reb Shimon Lakish said that it doesn't work. That a machshav me'avoid la'avoid doesn't work bifnem, right? Because it only works by pigel. And here he said machshav poiseles bifnem. Yeah, so that's going to be the kasha, and kasha and chutz kasha Rabbi Yochanan, and the lashon of the big kasha is chutz. The Rabbi Yochanan holds that machshava works me'avoid la'avodah in everywhere, and Rabbi Yossi says it doesn't work by avodas kachavim by chutz. So push lama pnim, and this is going to be a very very hard line of the Gemara, and we're just going to run through it. Rashi has two lashonos. Push lama pnim l'Reb Shimon Lakish like kasha. Pnim for Reb Shimon Lakish like kasha because ha mekami deshama mirab Yochanan, ha lebasa deshama mirab Yochanan. One is before he heard from Rabbi Yochanan, one is after he heard from Rabbi Yochanan. So what does that mean? So Rashi says two pshatim. Either it means that we don't mean Rabbi Yochanan as Rabbi Yochanan itself. We mean one is before Rabbi Yochanan, before Rish Lakish heard the Mishnah, and one is after he heard the Mishnah. It happens to be that most of that Rabbi Yochanan, Rish Lakish's Rebbe was Rabbi Yochanan, so we're saying Meikami Deshami Rabbi Yochanan and Lebasa Deshami Rabbi Yochanan. But obviously, we're not talking about necessarily before and after he heard it from Rabbi Yochanan. We mean before and after he heard them from the Mishnah. So it comes out that what we're saying is that Rabbi Rish Lakish didn't hear the Mishnah before. Saying he was making it. When we have an opinion for Rish Lakish, it was before he had an opinion. He had opinion before he heard the Mishnayos. That's the Moredi Gedoichik in this line of the Gemara. Yeah. What Mashiesh Litchoik is over here is, Mashiesh, what you could be mitaris a little bit, that Pshat is, we're not talking, it's not a mafurish Mishnah, because it is for Tadik, like we said, because Rabbi Yochanan, even Rish Lakish was always masking that there is a machshava me'avoid la'avoid by pigel. It's just that we're saying that the lashon of Rabbi Yossi was by Peseles, he chapped on a lashon of Peseles, which is not going to stem with Rish Lakish's shita, but the lashon of pigel works. So it's not so shver. Yeah? Okay. Yeah, and Rashi brings out another pshat that forget that Rish Lakish was talking to be chayzer. Rish Lakish talking to be chayzer to Rabbi Yochanan, like we have a brayser talking. It's going to say mechash me'avoid la'avoid. It was just mekamid d'sham Rabbi Yochanan. Okay, so more right, and but this is bleib shver. Okay. But the big kasha is Rabbi Yochanan. Alachos kasha Rabbi Yochanan. What's going to be with kasha? What's going to be with Rabbi Yochanan? The Rabbi Yochanan holds mechash me'avoid la'avoid. The Rabbi Yochanan holds that that mechash me'avoid la'avoid. And we say even by everywhere. And the Maisa we say first that by chutz there's no mechash me'avoid la'avoid. So the Baruch Maisa la'avum farakla ba'arba avodos. A new thing that what we're comparing. Chutz and pnim is not legabe mechash me'avoid la'avoida. We're talking about we're comparing a different machshav, a different thing in Gansen. We're comparing during when you have your machshava. Yeah, Who might level mefarkla ba'arba avodas. V'achi kamal uma b'makim. So even though it says machshava peiselos, we don't need machshava peiselos over here and over here. It does machshava is not peiselos at all. No, what we mean is that over here it's machshava peiselos ba'arba avodas, and over here it's only machashav. Only works by two. Uma b'makim shemachshava peiselos b'mikdashim. What does that mean? Ba'arba avodas, and still in our kol oived. Yeah. Moving to Amid Beis, Malkim Shei Machshav Beisels B'Chulin Elo B'Shtei Avodas and additionally Hakol Hoylech Ela Acha HaShoichet. Yeah, that is that's the Gemara. Now, over here, there's a lot to talk about here. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. I don't want to be myrich, but I just want to say 3 points quickly. What are the Shtei Avodas? What's the Shtei Avodas? Yeah. So again. So machshava peiselos ba'arba avodas by kachim is very simple. We know that shchita kabbalah halachas rika. That's where machshava works. It only works during those 3 form of avodas, and that's simple. That doesn't need any husband, right? Now, what are the shtei avodas that it does work by avodas kacham? So Rashi says like this: it works during the shchita and during the zrika. And Rashi is very, very clearly mashma, that during the shchita or during the zrika would aser the basar. Now, a haktorah is also a issa avodas kechavim, zok Rashi. Yeah, that's pashut. That avada being makdal avodas kechavim, that's for sure issa deraisa. That's for sure issa avodas kechavim. So Rashi, good. Of course, it's going to be nasa. Of course, it's asa to do. However, it won't asa the basar.
It's not a din in the shchita. It's a bazundur din.
No, it's not going to asa the basar. Our shmuz, our sugya. No, zrika is also not a din in the shchita. We're talking about answering the basar. That's the shmuz of our Mishnah. Yeah, he's not being over any issa. We're talking about what the guy's going to do. The guy himself is a Jew. He's a from yid, right? So, but we're talking about answering the basar.
So machshava won't help.
So the azrika la'avodas kechavim is going to answer the basar. Mashen kain a haktorah is not going to answer the basar. Now, so first let's go back. Rashi says a fantastic thing. How do I know that Haktorah is not going to answer the basar? Like Rashi. That what? Right? What does Rashi say? Because since hekter chalavim is not one of the daled avodas, and so therefore, if somebody thinks during hekter chalavim it doesn't answer the basar, so therefore bifnim. So since it doesn't answer bifnim by pegel, so somehow it's a koshkeit avodas kechavim. That's one halacha that Rashi says that needs a share bifnei atzmai. I'm just showing, just pointing it out. Okay. Now, what's going to be by during the zrika? So Rashi is mashma very clear that during the zrika you'll aser the basar of the whole carbon, and that's the shtei avodas during the shchita and during the zrika. Tosfos is asks a kasha from the Gemara, our Gemara on the bottom of the blot, that and the Gemara on the bottom talks about a story of the Arabs, that we have Arab businessmen that they split up an animal. And they told the Jews they should shecht it, and we're going to keep, the blood in the chaylev, because we want to go. We have things to take care of with the blood in the chaylev. What are they going to do with the blood in the chaylev? They're going to be zarek, and they're going to be makta the chaylev, and they're going to be zarek the dam. But the meat, they don't care for. They don't need that, right? That's the story. So Tosfos, what do you mean? And the Gemara says that it's fine. That's fine. That the basar is fine. Why is the basar fine? The zrika is going to be for avidus kechavim. So Tosfos is a raya that the zrika doesn't aser the basar. So Tosfos says it must be that our Gemara means. This is how Tosfos blibes. I'm just going to try to Zok Tosis that it must be that our Gemara means that the Shechita is not going to answer the whole carbon, and the Zrika is going to answer Chotch to Dam. But it's not going to answer anything else. That's how Tosis learns. And the Mashal is matmi on Tosis, yeah? Because if you're talking about just the blood, and you're not talking about the basar, the Hekta Chalav Mevarim is going to answer, the Haktara say Murim is going to answer the Chalav also as well. Yeah, okay. So that's, but I'm getting a little bit off the topic. But let's go, but let's get clear. There's a Machlokes Rashi and Tosis. What's going to be Legabi the Zrika? Zrika Lavoidis Kechavim. If the Zrika Lavoidis Kechavim is going to answer the basar. Now, in Rashi, we could be mechalakim to the Gemara later in our Gemara that in the Gemara by the Arabs, they already split it up. Once they split it up already, they gave the zrika of the Arabs is not going to ask my bus if we already split it up. Yeah, Mashenkin in our Gemara, we're talking about b'shtei avodas. We mean if he still owns them both. If he's doing a zrika on the whole thing, yeah, okay. That's a yeah. Okay, there is another mahalach in the sugya that the shtei avodas and the two avodas there's the that the other Rishonim seem to say that we're talking about we're not talking about during the Daled Avodas and during the Shechita and the Zrika. We're talking about the machshava that he had an intention for. Right? And it would come out that they seem to be saying that you mechashev during a shechita with the intention with the intention for a shechita or a zrika or a kabbalah halacha, that's going to be aser. And the problem is that all achreinim matmiya that we know that it has to be that a machshava has to be an achila, has to be an achila only a zrika haktara or a zrika haktara achilas bailim, but not a machshava on a shechita kabbalah halacha v'zrika. Yeah. So they want to change the girsa. They want to change the girsa in all the rishonim. Yeah. There's another eitzah to say, but I'm going way off that we're not talking that they're not talking about pigos taken achila me'achil yachal, but that's by Yishlei Lishma. But okay, let's go weiter. But bottom line is our Gemara says that the chilik in between kachim and avodah zarah is that by kachim there's a 4 and by avodah zarah there's only 2. Rashi and Tosfos seem to be going on that we're talking about during which avodah you had your machshava. By kachim you had a machshava during the shechita kabbalah halacha zrika, which is 4, and by avodas kechavim, it's only going to be negeh to aser during the shechita and the zrika. Yeah, sagt die mal weiter. Tani kavas Rabbi Yochanan. Hashoichet es habehema. Mefurish a brayso that holds mamish like Rabbi Yochanan. Mefurish hashoichet es habehema lizroik dama lavodas kechavim ulahak techelba lavodas kechavim. So it's during the shechita he had a machshava on a different avodah. Machashim avodah lavodah. Harei elu zevchei meisim. Mefurish. Yeah. Now here comes the next sugya, which is a sugya of retroactive what's called. We discussed the machlokes about the Tanakama. What's the stam machshavas avodas kechavim? If we could assume b'stama what his intention was. What happens if we have an indication later on that he had a machshav avodas kechavim? So what do we retroactively say about the shechita? Shachta v'achakach chishav aleo. So your ma'aser b'kisri. This is a ma'aser that happened in Caesarea. What?
Kids are outside.
Oh, they're here? Okay, good. They'll join. Yeah, let's go. And they didn't know. Yeah. So Rav Chizda first went through there was some sort of a hesitation here. What's the issue? So we wanted to say that it's pshat in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah has a machlokes. What the stomach is, what a guy thinks, what a guy thinks. What his machshava is, and here they lemaisa came in. They showed up and did avodas kechavim. At the end, they turned out to be avodas kechavim. So that sounds like we were right. It sounds like Rebbe Lezer is right. Stam machshavas avodas kechavim is avodas kechavim. Yeah, liidach gisa, right? And right. So that's the question. That's how the Gemara wants to say that's what Rav Chizda wants to say. Mishum b'yambo yisum b'hetem mishum koydom of the Rabbanon and Rebbe Lezer. So the Gemara, mimai, it's not a tushto. Ma'at kan lekami Rabbanon. By the Rabbanon right, the Rabbanon that say that it's not a machshavas avodas kechavim, that we don't assume it's tam loy ad kam Rabbanon over there where they say hasam el shamana the chashiv, that we didn't afterwards later here that he did think aval hachad the shamana the chashiv hachiach sevel tchilase. Maybe they'll be masking and say that hachiach sevel tchilase that this guy was in a yaitza ben akal. They were talking about a stomach. Inami ad kam Rabbi Lezer hasam el gabi av kechavim. Maybe over there Rabbi Lezer talking about by a guy aval hachad. Right? But by Yisrael, maybe he holds that Yisrael, you don't say by a guy. But and not by Yisrael. So in other words, the case in Caesarea does not seem to be a case that or Caesarea, however you pronounce that city. So it doesn't seem to be a tushtel to our machlokes. It's Yisrael, and they will machashav later on. I just want to read us very, very quickly the Krega's kasha. Krega has a murder to get kasha. Krega says that Reb Krega is naming on misvara, and this is l'chura a very, very stark svara, Zok Reb Krega, and it's totally in the places that we said before that when machashav that oichiach soifei al tchilasei Zok Reb Krega. What is oichiach soifei al tchilasei? Oichiach soifei al tchilasei is from this guy's action later on that he said clearly avodas kechavim is a raya. What? Well, he thought before, but not what he said. Zakrim Krega, if you hold the Chiach Soiv Al Tchilase works, Vai Soiv Al Kochach, you hold that Machshav Alein works. So now it's back to square one. So now we see that Machshav works by Kachim. This is that Kasha, so Luchur, there should be the Kavchayim, yeah. And it's a Kasha of the Kavchayim, then with the Pircha. That's Krega's Kasha. Other Chayim want to say that somehow the Machshav later on is going to work before, but this is a very, very important shmuz. Okay, so tomorrow, Elo, Amar Rav Shizvi, different pshat. Avada Shaila of Chiach Soiv Al Tchilosoi, but not a Chiach Soiv Al Tchilosoi of our Gemara. It's not Shaila of Chiach Soiv Al Tchilosoi has nothing to do with the Shaila of our Mishnah. Our Mishnah was talking about Shaila Stam Achshavas Avodas Kechavim, and now we're talking about a Chloikas of a Chiach Soiv Al Tchilosoi. If somehow later on we could retroactively define what happened earlier. Elam Rav Shizli Ambraheta Mishum Kvoided Rashbag Rav Shimon Gamliel, and Rav Shimon Gamliel holds a Chiach Soiv Al Tchilosoi. Hey, Rav Shimon Gamliel, which one are we talking about? Which Rav Shimon Gamliel do we say that he holds that the Chiach Soiv Al Tchilosoi Elaim Rav Shimon Gamliel the get in non habori. Again, we're talking about a bari because when we paskin that if somebody is sick and he says kisvu, he says write a get, then obviously he means that he wants it to be given to his wife to free his wife from yibum. That's pasha. But a bari, what's a bari? A bari shama kisvu get lishti ratzal l'sachik. But he's just giving her. He's just playing with her. He's champering her. He doesn't mean that we should give it. And even if we gave it, it's not a good get. Umaisa bari, and there was a story by a bari shama kisvu get lishti. He said to write a get for his wife, and presumably he could have been kidding with her, and they gave it to him for all the gag v'nafel amaze, and he went up to and then he committed suicide. If he committed suicide,
money on the software.
There we go. No, fakir, because then he doesn't save any money, because if he passes away, then she falls to Yibam. That's the question. The question is if she falls to Yibam. If he committed suicide, harayz a get. Because why? Because later on, that's going to show that obviously his intention was that writing a get because he's planning on taking care. Yeah, he's planning on taking care of business. If he happened to fall, then ain't a get. Then there's no sefer that's going to occur. The counting. Because in the beginning, the Tanakh Hama is mashma. It says regardless, right? We say that what habari sham kisu get lishti ratzul sachik ba. That Basel Sachbar is mashma in what's called it b'cholefen. V'avina but Ma'aseh Lister, and Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says it's totally in if he committed suicide or not. So we say that normally he's playing with her, unless so what? So here's Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says so therefore, and we have machlokes Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. If you say if we do retroactively say that's how can we compare the case of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel where he did give some sort of indication. He said kisvu. Just the question is kisvu a full commitment for the get? That so there he said kisvu, and then he went up into the get. He went up and committed suicide. So there we could say that that's what he meant when he said kisvu. He wasn't just playing with her. Bashenkin, in our case, where he didn't say anything, they just regular shecht, and afterwards they did a skita. Where do you see Ella? Yeah. Shani also become makisa. Ella Ravina Mishum Kvoidid Rav Shimon Gamliel the Hacha. We're talking about a different Rav Shimon Gamliel, where over there he says a chiach tesaveat chilasa, which is a good sushtal. Then what's the case? The Tanya Kois v'nechas li'acheru. Somebody writes his nechasim to his la'acheru. He wrote his nechasim la'acheru. V'hayu b'hem 8 avodim. A guy, so yeah, and just to clarify, he's a Yisrael and his children are Yisrael. And he has a whole bunch of nechasim, and he says that instead of giving my nechasim, instead of my children inheriting all my stuff, I'm giving it all to this and this guy who happens to be a kohen. And amongst them there were avodim, and avodim are hard, are a handful. They could really keep somebody, or this guy's an abolitionist, or whatever it is, and he doesn't want the avodim. I don't want the avodim. Even though he said, even though this kohen says, I don't want it. No, he has to take it. He gets it no matter what. He gets it regardless of if he wants it or not. If it goes to this person that he's giving it to, and it doesn't go to the Yarshim, and therefore it goes to the Kohen. Reb Shimon Gamliel argues. He says, Reb Shimon Gamliel since the Kohen said, I don't want it, it goes to Yarshim, and therefore they're not Eichel Mechuma, the Avodim are in Bershus the Yarshim. So first we have to explain this brisa. The Kohen is crying, I don't want it, and Abba became, we say, no, you got to take it, it belongs to the Kohen. What's going on here? If the Kohen was screaming from the beginning till the end and saying, no, I don't want it no matter what, nobody has to be zoich in something about koch. Yeah, that's Lashon of Rashi, right? Lashon of Rashi is the first line, there's no such a thing. No one has to be Mikabel Matana. When he accepts it, and then a couple of weeks later he says, you know what, I don't want it, right? Because he changed his mind. He took it, he accepted it, and now he's in there, and now he realizes that they're a handful and he wants to get rid of them. Where's the machlekes of Shimon Gamliel and the Tanakama? That what if there was it never came to him directly. First, he gave they was zika loyai de acher, meaning that he gave it to somebody else, and that other person was makabel l'matana, but it was in front of him, right? Shezika loyai de acher v'shasek l'b'seif tzavach, meaning that there was somebody else was makabel l'matana, makabel l'shtar. And I was there, and I was quiet. Now what? From the fact that he was quiet, obviously he's masking to take it, and it's a shtika done. And that now he's screaming, and now he has chazara. Rav Shimon Gamliel Sava, Hachiach Sevi Al Tchilasoi, V'Hadloi Tzavach Meikara Sava Kiloi Asal Yadi Amay Atzvach. Lamaisa Soif Kol Soif, nothing came to my hands. It went to somebody else's hands. So until it comes to my hands, I'm not going to say anything. I don't have to say anything. What do I have to say anything? It didn't come to my hands. But Ravada, we say, and the fact that he was Saveach is a raya that what? That he didn't want it. And we talk a go bas Archiach Saveach Tchilasei. And Mamela, this is the Reb Shimon Gamliel of the Shaila of the Shchita. Okay. Let's finish up the last Gemara. Sok the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel Halach Rabbi Yosi. L'maisa we pass like Rabbi Yosi that what zeh mechashev zeh oived lo yaminon. Yeah, that's the halacha avada. That's how we pass. Okay. Now Zok the Gemara a case of Hanu Tai. There's these Tai. These are Arabs. Now, I don't know why it's even a kasha and a teretz, but the Achronim ask it as a kasha and a teretz, so we'll say it as a kasha and a teretz. The Taya, it says they're obviously oiv kachavim, and they want to save the blood and the chelev, right? So there are those that ask it as a kasha that Ida Rambam says that Arabs are not oiv kachavim. So why should it be a problem that l'chura we're finished? Why? So we know that the Arabs are not of his kachavim. So why is there a problem over here of these hanitaya? And the teretz is pasha. I don't know why it's even a kasha. The teretz is pasha, right? That we know famously that the Rambam was talking about after Muhammad. He was talking about after the place, which is many years after the Gemara was already after the Chassimus had Talmud, and until Muhammad came around, they were all very pagan. Yeah, Muhammad himself was mushpa from the Jewish Christians or whatever it was, and his wives maybe were that, but and so he got it from they were Jewish. He killed out a lot of Jews, but he was mushma from Yidden, but the Arabs themselves around them were all pagan, and that's what we're talking about. The regular Arab was avada oivet of his kacham. So Hanu Taya the asul litzukunya. And they were businessmen. They were busy, so they didn't have time to take care of the carbon, but they needed to do their avodah, right? So Yoav dichri leTabache Yisrael. So they gave sheep to Tabache Yisrael. Amru like this: Dama v'tarba ledidan, the blood and the chelev that they need for their avodas kachavim ledidan. Mishcho besro ledetchu, but the skin and the meat you'll keep for yourself. Yeah, that's what they told him. Now, Sholcha Rav Tuvi bar Masel Kabed Rabbi Yosef Kai Gavna Mai. What's the halacha? Yeah, what's the halacha? Sholach Lei Haki Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel Halach Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi said that Halach Rabbi Yosi that we don't care about the machshava of the even though the guy has a chelik in it and he has intentions, he has machshavas, but who cares? We don't care about the guy. We care about the Yisrael. Amalei Rav Acha B'Rei Rav Ashi. What's going to be okay? We pass like Rabbi Yosi, and since we pass like Rabbi Yosi, so we don't care about the machshava of the owner. But what would be Rabbi Yezer? When do we say that it's a problem? Is it only a problem in our Mishnah? In a case where in our Mishnah the guy already owned it from origin, he owned it from before, and when he owned it from before, so therefore it's a problem. Or even if he's yoiv leizuzi letabach Yisrael mai amalei chazina inish al lamahu leimotzi madchilei aser. If the pshat is if the guy is a strong man and the guy and the Yisrael has no power to be chayzer, and since he can't be chayzer, he can't back out. So the Yisrael beles breira has an intention and he has a mind for the guy. So then the shchita like Rebbe Lezer is going to say makashav zeh oived amrinan, and therefore it's going to be aser. V'iloi amalei reishech v'har. Reishech v'har means knock your head against the wall. Reishech v'har means head and mountain. Let your head bang against the mountain. I don't care about you, and therefore I don't. Since the yid is not mechuyev to have a mind for the guy, so therefore he's not mechashav for the guy, and he doesn't. The guy's machshava doesn't define the yid's shchita.